Learning more about the demographics of who signed that petition to recall Mayor Latoya Cantrell, NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, analyzed 32,000 signatures and broke down the numbers of those who signed by race and neighborhood. Natasha Robin reports.
I'm a New Orleans resident and I'm sick and tired of the crime.
This is our way of trying to put an end to it.
We're getting a better idea of who signed the petition to recall Mayor Latoya Cantrell and where they live. According to NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, an analysis of more than 32,000 signatures handed over to the paper through a court order shows a large majority of the signatures were from white voters, 76%, while 15% were from African Americans.
In reality, it's the reverse pyramid almost, because the majority of voters in the city are African American, almost 60%.
Pollster and Xavier professor Silas Lee says it's important not to pay too much attention to the race of those who signed.
You have two types and two aspects to it. One is you have the activists, the people who actually engage in signing a petition. Then you have those who get emotionally invested or disinvested, and they don't sign. We do not see them.
Racially polarized voting patterns are not new to New Orleans.
Fox 8 political analyst Mike Sherman isn't surprised by the racial disparity of those who signed the petition.
We've seen evidence that African American mayors in New Orleans have a change of support from their first term to their second term. Look at Ray Nagin's election from 02 versus 06. We're seeing these same patterns repeat themselves for Mayor Cantrell. It's very evident in who's signing this recall petition.
In addition to the racial gap, NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, says around 37% of a sample of signatures came from people who live in Lakeview and Uptown.
If the recall organizers thought they could get their most votes in Lakeview and Uptown, that's probably where they should have focused their efforts from a strategic perspective.
A lot of attention and focus was on areas where the mayor did not have strong support.
NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, says its reporters collected additional details on every 42nd signature they encountered and then cross-referenced that with the Orleans Parish voter file. In all, its sample included 757 records, and they say 35 of those signatures were not Orleans Parish voters. 6 others were duplicates. That's a margin of error of about 3.6%.
It's a small margin of error and it's pretty accurate, but again, we're looking at people who sign the signatures versus those who may actually go out to the poll.
Data suggests about 20% in previous recall efforts were thrown out. If only 3.5% are being thrown out according to the Times-Picayune's analysis, that's actually a remarkably low failure rate of signatures.
But it's still unknown how many signatures were actually collected. Recall organizers are still refusing to comment, and NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, says it hasn't received all of the paperwork from them for reasons that are unclear.
Like many New Orleans, I just want to know, did they get the number? We've got more waiting to do.
Natasha Robin, Fox 8, Local First.